What about you and Richardson Hitchins? You think that fight ever happened?
I mean, I probably would never even fight Africa. I think like that's another one. He been my brother for years and years, but I just don't fuck with that right now.
Yeah.
Truthfully, like I don't fuck with that. But at the end of the day, I mean, you gotta realize like a lot of these fights don't even make sense. Like a
Right.
fight like me and Africa, business wise, like, and this is like no disrespect to him, but like I'm fighting in arenas and like I'm doing big shit. So like if that was like he would have to like get all of his name up and then like it's personal. Like that should be personal. Like
Shakur Stevenson breaks it down, says despite he's not on good terms with Richardson Africa Hitchins, he says he doesn't think that he will ever fight him because they were once cordial and they were once considered friends. Wow. Now, I want to give you guys my thoughts. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but this is Ego Thoughts. I told you I'm going back to the basics. There's a lot of, in my opinion, low level, low quality content in the boxing game. Audio is bad, the visual is bad, the knowledge is bad. People don't know what they're talking about, what the F they're talking about. And it's just, it makes boxing look dumb. You know, I want to get back to real conversations and real dialogue. A lot of clickbait too. You're seeing a lot of clickbait where it's just videos being made and it's just really about nothing. Oh, this fight is going to happen and then the fight doesn't happen. So I'm back with Ego Thoughts, where I just give you just my thoughts. I don't want to like lead the people astray and do a bunch of clickbait and get your hopes up for fights that never happen and stuff like that. So if you like this pure content, you like high quality content, I'm your guy. Subscribe to the channel. Now, Shakur Stevenson, you guys seen the clip. He basically said that Richardson Hitchins, they used to be really cool, but he don't F with him now. That's the skinny of it. And I'm just paraphrasing. They don't rock with each other. Whatever happened, happened. Somebody said something, somebody did something, whatever happened, that's their business. But this is the problem. Shakur Stevenson, in my opinion, and he's not the only one, but since this video is about him, we got to talk about it. I think Shakur Stevenson has a lot of big bros and little bros. And to me, this makes the game watered down because I come from a cloth in this boxing game where really there ain't no friends. I think it was Danny Garcia who said that he don't have no friends in or around his division. Like he'll be friends with a heavyweight because he don't fight anywhere close to heavyweight, or he'll be friends with, you know, somebody who's like a minimum weight or a featherweight because it's really not even close to where he's been campaigning. And I always have loved that attitude. Like people, it's like makes the game soft. It also reminds me of one of my favorite athletes and people in general, somebody, an icon and somebody who is an idol of mine, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant has this interview where he said a lot of guys, they would go on vacations together just to go on vacations, right? And, you know, just get together. And he was like, I never did that. And then the host was like, why didn't you do that? And he was like, because that's just not me. I didn't want to be the guy who did all this stuff and, you know, kicked it with people you have to play the next day and all that type of stuff, and get to the end of my career and say, I wish I would have. I don't want to be that guy. I want to know that I gave the game everything that he could. So I respected, of course, I respect Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace to Kobe, Gigi, and the Passengers. But I always loved that about Kobe. That's the Black Mamba mentality. And that's what's missing in the boxing game too. And I'm seeing it a lot in this younger generation. Everybody wants to be friends. Oh, that's my little bro. So Shakur's little bros are Keyshawn Davis, Abdullah Mason, and despite those guys are like he's still cool with, I believe, but despite him not being on good terms with Richardson Hitchins, he's saying he still wouldn't fight him either in a brand new interview he did with Greg Hackett. So to me, that's just weird. It's like, so the people you rock with, and that you're still cool with and on good terms with, even though they're in your division and great fighters, you don't, or the fans don't get to see you test your skills against those guys because they're little bros. But then we also can't see you fight somebody that used to be your friend that is no longer really considered a friend. To me, that's just weird. Like I said, Kobe Bryant, he's like, nah, he's like, my back was spasming and Vince Carter was tearing through the league. And he was like, your back can bother you any other day, but you playing this. He's like, because the conversation would have been Kobe is ducking Vince Carter. He's like, excuse me? Like, nah, we can't have that. So your back can bother you any other day. It's not going to bother you today. You going to play that game. That's the Black Mamba mentality. So I've given you 2 Kobe examples. Obviously, Kobe's at the highest level of athleticism and that mentality of like, he don't play no games. He's really there to win. And then you got Shakur, which is like the white Mamba or something. It's like whatever the opposite of Black Mamba is, this is what Shakur is saying. And I'm not saying he's not disciplined in other ways, because I do think he is, but I'm saying the mentality of I'm not fighting somebody because they're my little bro. And then, I mean, at that point, then like somebody can box and just befriend everyone in the division and say, hey, I'm not fighting none of these top guys because I'm friends with all of them. I just find that weird. Like, why would you as a fighter even, because keep in mind, most of these fighters have been or are in the same divisions or in or around the same divisions at the same time. So you kind of know who could be a future opponent, you know, based on the weight. Like, let's say as an amateur, you're fighting at 131 and then you're at a pro at 135. That's close enough. That's within 4 pounds. So even though they were amateurs fighting at like 131, 132, that's still too close to the division you campaign lightweight as a pro boxer. So you would have to know, like, this person's insanely close to my division, or this guy from lightweight could move up to 140 in the future because he's a big lightweight, like Teofimo, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? So you would have to know, if you're a guy at 140, that people below you, these could be future options. El Rayos and Pit Bulls and, you know, Rollies and stuff, they could move up. So to even befriend people and get too close to that situation, kind of weird, and kind of waters down the game, at least to me. Because if I'm not mistaken, Floyd easy work, like I said before. Floyd Mayweather and Zab Judah, they were Olympians together and they were cool. They came through this, they were both highly decorated. One guy from Michigan, you know, Grand Rapids, one guy from Brooklyn, and they were the best of the best, made it to the Olympic team, yada, yada, yada. So there was a respect there. Floyd might have been in a different division at the time, but guess what? Long story short, spoiler alert, they fought in the future, and it wasn't no buddy type of stuff. Floyd, if anything, a riot ensued because Roger Mayweather jumped in the ring because Zab was hitting him low later in the fight. So they're cool now again, and that's what I like to see. I'm not saying like, oh, it should always be war, and you know, boxing is the gentleman's sport. Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales hated each other, but now they're cool and cool enough to be on the same podcast or, you know, telecast together. That's what I like to see in boxing. I'm not saying this person got to be a sworn enemy and you guys never get over it, but just like Floyd Mayweather and Zab Judah was running, I think when Floyd was, he was working with him for the Conor McGregor fight. So they're definitely cool now because their careers are, you know, their active careers aren't really a thing now. That's what I like to see. So instead of all this like little bro, big bro stuff, you got people. I think you should be open to fight some of them. Again, even if you wanted to do it in terms of like, that's my little brother Keyshawn, I would never fight him. Abdullah Mason, what about him? It seems like you're cooler with Keyshawn, so why won't you fight Abdullah Mason? Are you equally, on the same, like, not every relationship, that's just not even a realistic thing. Not every relationship has the same like depth, and like you haven't known every friend that you have for the same amount of years, and it's the closeness of your relationship is not equal. So it's like, to keep adding these threats and then saying you're the best, it looks a bit weird. But then, like I said earlier, the point that I made was you got someone like Richardson Hitchins, who it doesn't sound like you really mess with him now as a friend, and yet you're still saying the same thing. You wouldn't fight him. So you wouldn't fight even a former friend that you're openly saying you don't rock with. So that's 3 people in around your division. And ego thoughts, save the best for last. Why is it that you were cool with Tank and you sparred with Tank, and there was a point in time where you guys were cool? There's a point where Tank had a Rolly fight or whatever fight, and Shakur went into his locker room and they snapped a flick and got the picture posted on their story. He posted it to his social media, whatnot. So now, for whatever reason, you're not cool with Tank, but then you're saying you still want to fight Tank. So I'm not really understanding the method to the madness. You were cool with Tank. You went to his locker room. There was no beef there, but over the course of time, something happened, and you're saying you want to fight Tank, although you're signing to Eddie Hearn in a 2-fight deal and going to DAZN, somewhere that Tank is not at and Tank has never been at. But then you're screaming that you want that fight and you believe you and Tank are the best in the division. It looks like smoke and mirrors. How is it that, again, I'll leave you with this. How is it that you can once be cool with Gervonta Davis to the point where you went to his locker room, took the picture and all these things, and now you're claiming you want to fight him and he's super dangerous, but then Richardson Hitchins, you're saying, nah, I don't think I'll fight him, despite kind of the same thing. You're no longer cool with him, but you once were. I don't really understand that. If you guys can show me the separation or explain the error in my thinking, let me know in the comment section, but I know you can't.